What's going on, YouTube? This is Happy Feats, and on today's episode of Road to Masters, we are going to break down Gothique Resonance S20. Both this and the D21 get requested for me to play on stream constantly, and I am always asked how to properly play these charts. And it makes sense because of how complex the twists are in both charts. Let's take a look at the S20 for now and simplify it as much as we can. The first 45 seconds really has nothing difficult going on until you reach this section here. It's loaded with corner twists that swing your hips from left to right numerous times and throws many players off. Let's slow it down and take a closer look. The first thing that I need to emphasize is that you are never going to use the same foot more than once ever during this section. You will always be alternating your feet, so keep yourself in control of that, and if you slip up, you're going to have to constantly remind yourself mentally. This may seem like a straightforward tip, but it works. The next important thing to point out is you have to see this as 4 sections rather than just one big section. At the start of each section, you will see a yellow note appear after a jump. That is how you know where a section begins. The reason that this is important to mention is because during each of these sections, you will always see the same colored arrow appear after a jump every single time. For the first section, we can see that the top right red note is always after a jump. And there's that yellow note once again, meaning section 2 has now begun, which now means there will be a new colored arrow after each jump. This time, it's the bottom right blue. Sections 3 and 4 actually repeat this same exact pattern, but mirrored. The final thing that's worth mentioning here is that you will always alternate your feet on every note that is right after a jump. Once you have gotten through this entire section, you have a nice break that will eventually build up into the outro run. This entire section will require you to watch on YouTube multiple times until you can comfortably read it. Sure, you could bracket jump the 3 notes over and over and just cheese a pass, but I'm not going to teach people bad habits in order to get a pass. There is a big difference between cheesing patterns and double stepping or bracketing patterns correctly to save your energy. Here is gameplay footage of what it looks like when done properly. Whenever I'm playing a chart like this, the key thing that I pay attention to in the chart is the red and blue arrows, specifically how many of them are in a row. These arrows will dictate which direction you need to face and for how long you need to stay facing in said direction. If you see multiple red or blue arrows, you stay facing whichever direction you are in longer. Pay close attention to this section here. You can clearly see that I'm no longer turning because of the fact that the red arrow is repeating. Shortly after that, it does this once again, but in the opposite direction once the blue arrow is repeating. If you still feel like you are not able to understand how to play this chart properly, here's a few charts that will help you improve on this type of skill. Hello William S19 is a great one since it does the same type of patterns but for a much shorter amount of time. Like Me S18 is another great chart for this as well. If these are too fast for you, check out the People Didn't Know S15. The link to all these charts will be in the video's description. And that concludes this week's episode of Road to Masters. Don't forget to recommend a step chart for me to break down in a future video. If you want to learn more about Pump It Up, be sure to follow me on Twitch. I'm always more than happy to help teach you stuff or answer any questions that you may have. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.